evening and welcome to the first round qualifier review and up to the semi-final preview. And of course, I'm up against Craig this week. How's it going?
Yeah, not wanting to talk to you this week, that's for sure, Johnny. But here we are anyway. So, yeah,
Well, depending on the result, you might not want to talk to me next week.
Well, yeah,
a lot of this
week probably more so
a lot
next
of
week
result,
probably, but
a lot of shock results. I would say shock results this week, but.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that we'll get 4 divisions in this league, and the 4 division champions and top 4 seeds get dumped on their backsides, and the 4 wild cards are left in to fight it all out, as we will see. But let's dig into the games.
Oh man, it's done it again.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We've got the names here, and I've got the points here.
Cool. Well, so the fastest flying Eagles 109.36 up against 138.50. Was it going
It's
off?
not even on the screen, Johnny.
God, it was a minute ago. Window.
Yeah, it just disappeared.
All the way up until I started. It was there, now it's disappeared. So 109.36 for the Parkswagon Eagles against the scheme team 138.50. That's a hell of a score for Alan.
Listen, it's a what a time to get the top score of the week. You know, I mean, he beats everyone this week, doesn't he? Hands down. So great result for Alan Graham. You know, the curse of the 1 seed strikes again. You know, Flying Eagles romped through the regular season, 12 wins, 2 losses. Doesn't matter a jot when you get to playoffs, Johnny. It's any given Sunday, and you know, for scheme team, Lamar Jackson 44 points. So Graham got Lamar. You know, Connor chucking in 25.5 points. Even Bateman scoring 20 points. You know, it was a week that they all went off for Alan, and he'll be delighted. You know, that's the final year. We keep saying it. It's his last year, and he's in the semi-finals. So every chance of going out with a massive high and getting the win. You know, I mean, Graham's done nothing wrong. He scored 109 points, Johnny. You know, it's Barkley kind of let him down a little bit. The guy who's got, you know, so you know, I left Barkley there and I've been gutted about it all season long, but it's not looking the worst thing in the world now, you know, because well, you know, Graham's out with Barkley in the team. So, and I mean, he scored fine. You know, White got 12, Gray got 8, McLaurin done his thing, got 19, Cook got 25, but Kyler Murray's was such a letdown for him. He's a letdown for me in a lot of places as well, Graham, so I feel your pain. But Kyler Murray's been a funny one this year, hasn't he? He's been so hot and cold all year long.
Yeah, it's been. You can't trust him. That's the problem with Kyler Murray. You know what I mean?
You just can't trust him.
You couldn't really before, but it's even worse now.
Well. I absolutely hummed and hawed over starting Knicks over him in one of the league, and the one I was playing dug in no less, and I lost by half a point. Not playing Knicks over Kyler, you know, so I played Kyler, and I knocked before I played Tua over him, and it didn't matter in the end because they were both crap. But yeah, great result for Alan. He marked his on into the semi-finals. You know, it was. I mean, this one was close all week long, all weekend. It was back and forth. You know, I mean. Lamar had obviously got his points for Alan, but when Cook came on the field at the back of 9, that was, you know, Graham started to come back, and he was never really out of it, you know, with McLaurin scoring 19 in the earlier games. So, yeah, it was always going to be a long way back with Jackson scoring 44 and Bateman scoring 20, but he gave it a good go, did Graham, and in the end, he's just lost out. Very unfortunate, but yeah, good on Alan, and let's hope he gets through the semi-finals too. And you'll see in a minute why. And this is why.
This is why. So we got the Kirkle Raiders 81.74 against the Baxter Trucks 117.40. So a ton for Baxter and gets over Graham. Apparently humiliates the Kirkle Raiders. I'm not sure it's that bad, but
So well, we had the usual, you know, white flag waved at back of six on Sunday. You know, oh, well done, Alan, you've won. Oh, look at Burrow going off, blah 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 blah. And then boom, Hutz comes out and scores 29. You know, Dowdle does fine. Chase Brown. I mean, Brown's been a revelation for him since Moss went down.
Hey Martin, how's it going?
Hey Martin, how you doing?
Hope you're not working
Yeah,
too
so
hard listening to us.
I did enjoy the whole back and forth with AJ Brown and Joanne Jennings, and I know how much Dougie agonised over that decision, you know. And he went. To be fair, he went with the one I would have went with too. I would have played Jennings over Brown in this week, and he went with Jennings, and of course Jennings absolutely busted out. And it
Well,
was
the weather
was that
didn't
the
help.
Thursday night game? That was the
That was
Thursday
the
night
Thursday
game,
night in the
wasn't it?
pissing rain. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean I think that was again that was why he was so disheartened at the back of six on because he knew that Jennings had got him off to such a bad start. But and then Kelsey obviously not doing anything doesn't help as well. With Kelsey's, I mean, he traded for Kelsey. He's going to, he's going to need Kelsey to show up. He really is. Zach Ertz out. I think he's probably out, isn't he?
I think he is out. Yeah, I can't see his bench here, but the obviously Allen was a bit because he got Sincere McCormick, who was going to be the lead back, and he got injured
Yeah,
pretty early on as well, so it was a bit of a sore one. I
he
do
did.
feel
He
sorry
did,
that
and it's.
Allen.
I mean, you're always rolling the dice a little bit when you bring in these guys, and I get it. He had a good game the week before. He was going to get all the carries, etc. So he gets the attention, and you bring him in, and that's unfortunately for Alan, he got injured, he got hurt very early on, and that was that. Lamb showed up for him a little bit, but
Yeah,
Williams done okay, I guess, with 9 points. But Brees Hall's been haunting Allen all season long, so he
well, he
has. It's
finally got a
just
goal.
you know,
He finally got a goal line touch and got a touchdown. So they're giving him that more often. He got a lot more bloody points. But like I said before,
well,
when Rogers gets down to the 1-2 yard line, he's going to throw rather than let you run the ball, as
well,
he's
of course
done
he
for
is because
most of the season.
he
But
wants all
yeah,
the
and obviously
credit.
the Chargers' defense didn't really help. They just disappeared in the second half against Tampa Bay.
They did, and it's very unlike the Chargers defense. They've been quite solid this year. They've not been spectacular fantasy wise, but they've been very solid. They've not conceded. They're certainly not conceded 40 points. So that was a sore one for Allen. But yeah, I mean, 117 points for Doug, and he marches on. He traded well. He traded well for Hurts.
Yeah,
The Kelsey trade's obviously still on the fence, but he certainly traded very well for Hurts and. Uh, Alan Alan Perry, who's playing him in the so he's got Alan in the quarters, Alan in the semis, so he doesn't need to worry about remembering many names. But
very true.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's Alan will be a little bit worried about what he's facing, because Doug looks very strong, and it's the bench. The bench is strong as well. You can't see the bench here, but I can tell you he's got AJ Brown, Malik Neighbours, and the Packers defense are all sitting on there. Zach Ertz is there and Kendry Barnes there. I don't know why, but certainly he's got Brown and Neighbours to choose, and Collins and Jennings, and he can only play two of them. So he's got
yeah.
decisions to make this week too. But well done, Doug. You're in the semis and probably the strongest
Well,
team in the four left.
he's already come out with the chat this week that he's going to be busy all weekend and hardly check his team. Remember, so
Oh, Johnny's
hopefully he
busy
won't
every
get.
weekend and hardly
Hopefully
check his
he
team.
won't get any last minute injuries.
If I had salt kicking, if I had salt lying about in front of me, I'd be pouring it right now. Pinch of salt.
Ah, it's funny though because everybody knows all about it and they're all going on. So we'll go on to your one then. So Lebanon and a prayer, 80.68 against the Show Me the Packers, rather convincing in the end, 130.96. So it was a nice win for you.
I mean, it was Jared Goff, Johnny. Jared Goff done the business, 48
48
points,
points.
and that's
And Brian
and
Thomas
again,
Jr.
he's been brilliant some weeks and awful others, and fancy wise, and certainly, I'm 130 points, massive score. Poor Michael's playoff curse strikes again. One of these days, Michael's going to win this sooner rather than later, and I don't think there's
He
anyone
has
more
to.
deserving. there's certainly no one more deserving that hasn't got a title than Michael to get that title, but it's going to be 2025 before he gets another, before he gets to get a shot at it. And it was the quarterbacks that done it. My quarterback outscored them by 30 points. What does worry me is my running backs, Stevenson, A-Chain and Taylor, they're not awful. They're not doing awful. Remember, there is no points for catches or anything. This is non-PPR. So the running backs where you can really get your points, and these three they aren't turning it on the way I want them to. I
if you
left
look at it this way,
Garoppolo
though,
again.
if Jonathan Taylor hadn't fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line, you would have had the highest score.
Don't. Although I'm not convinced on that because he does get the yardage. He gets the rushing
Yeah, I know,
yards.
but he's got a fumble. He's not got the 6 points for the touchdown and an extra yard.
Fumble and the 6 points. Fair
So
enough. Yeah,
that would be about 8 points. So it'd be pretty close to top score.
Yeah, that was
Not that you
annoying. It
needed
did
it in the
annoy
end,
me.
but if you'd
It
lost
did
it
annoy me.
that, you would have been raging.
Do you know the way the game was going? I was pretty confident that I had it in the bag because Goff was doing his thing, and but Mixon wasn't for Michael. Mixon disappeared. Hill disappeared in the same game, and
Bowers disappeared.
I knew that's two of his highest. That's two that he expected to be his highest scorers of the year, and Mixon's done very well. Hill hasn't, but those two busted out, and that kind of killed them, So by the time Bowers got to the field on Monday night, it really was too little, too late. He needed too much, So that was a problem for him, and when I always knew that he had Bowers late on, and I knew that I had Hawkinson on the Monday night as well. So the last thing I wanted it to do was to come down to a tight end battle because obviously you know how high I've been on Bowers all year, and he's been great. And Hawkinson hasn't come back the way I hoped he did. He would. So the last thing I wanted was it to be a tight end battle, and my hopes be up. But so I was very comfortable going into Monday night because I had a huge lead, and I was pretty confident the game was over. So unlucky, Michael. Ta-ta. See you next year.
And of course, you'll be up against me when I played the Factory of Sadness, last year's champion. So no more back-to-back. No more chance of a back-to-back.
The
So I'm
back-to-back
still
is
shocked
gone.
at that one, but obviously Jameer Giggs helped, and the Cincinnati defence. Romeo Dubes coming back from injury helped, but too many no-shows for the Factory of Sadness. I know I was finished by Monday, and he had 24 points with Sam Darnold, Aaron Jones, Darnell Mooney, and
Falcons D.
Something else. Oh, the Atlanta Falcons defense, who did get him 16 points. So I think he had 24 points before that. So it wasn't over, but it was very close. It could easily done. If Darnold had a 5 touchdown game, it could have been a whole different game. The week before.
Oh, completely. I mean, it's one of those ones where he was on like 24 points or something, 30 odd points going into Monday night, but it wasn't over. And you were rightly, it's not over yet. It's not over yet because it wasn't. Son just scored straight from a corner, by the way.
Who are they playing?
But Man United in the League Cup.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so going into Monday night, Sean's problem is you just can't afford your best players at playoff time to not show up. I mean, Sean's record this year was 11-3. He only lost 3 times, and a lot of that was to do with Derrick Henry and Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's 2 keepers, and they performed all year long. They just didn't show up
I know.
At playoff time, and I feel that pain, Sean, because it happened to me last year, and it's so easy. It's so easy to happen. There's nothing you can do. You're not playing Jamar Chase, and you're not playing Derrick Henry, but playing Derrick Henry and Jamar Chase has cost them the tie. And then of course
Derrick Henry, Lamar had a chip in his shoulder on that Sunday night. He just went for it, and he had more rush in. The Giants managed to stop Henry for quite a bit. He had a couple of big runs, but nothing much else. And it was just a Lamar show.
Yeah, it really was, wasn't it? It was all about Lamar. And that's the last thing that Sean needed, and that obviously Darnold's not done great. Jones has done fine, but the Mooney bust, that's it. You still think I made a bad trade, Doug? Mooney 0. And do you know what? I'm not even being funny, but I'd have probably played Mooney over Brian Thomas if I still had him. If I didn't trade Mooney to Sean, I would have played him over Brian Thomas at weekend pass. It wouldn't have
I
cost me
wouldn't
the
play him
game,
now
but
though.
and I wouldn't. I would, well, more likely not. No, not after what happened. But certainly, I'm glad I didn't have that decision to make. And of course, he's only got 2.4 out of K Dotton as well, who he then traded Kraft to. I gave him also. So yeah, it's unlucky for Sean. The back to back's over. But listen, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. The guy's got 4 titles in 10 years, so he can go
Yeah,
a year without one.
2 of them against me, so
And,
they're a bit.
and you're back, Johnny. You're back.
Yeah, still a bit iffy, but obviously Gibbs is the number one running back there now. He's not really got much. You got Reynolds to back him up, but it should be okay. Stafford will have a better game. Obviously,
Worried
Gibbs is
about
back.
Gibbs.
He's back catching the ball.
I'm exceedingly worried about Gibbs. I'd be lying if I said otherwise because he is. He's got the backfield to himself now. I mean, I know Craig Reynolds, like you say, and he will get a couple of touches, Reynolds, but Gibbs will get Montgomery's touchdown, and Montgomery gets a touchdown every game, and Gibbs will get that touchdown. And
Hopefully,
it's not like the Lions have got nothing to play for; they've got everything to play for. They've got a division. They're not even close to winning the division yet. So
no,
it's not they
they're
can't take.
11-2 with the Vikings, isn't it? So,
Yeah, they're
and the
the same as
Packers are
Vikings.
one
So
behind.
they cannot take the foot off the pedal one iota, because it's not just home field. It's not just the bye week that they're playing for, which they are obviously playing for, but they're simply playing for home field advantage. If the Vikings win it, they are the same. They're both, what is it,
11 and
11 and
2.
11 and 2.
11.
Yeah, they're both 11
No,
and
it's
2.
11 and 2,
So
11 and 3. 11, I can't remember.
11 and 2 because it was week 4. Oh no, it was week 15 last week. So no, it'll be 12 and 2 because
12 and 2.
there's only 2 losses, so they're both 12 and 2, and we're 10 and 4. So we're only 2 behind them. They've not even technically beaten. They could end up third in the division. Not that they
Well,
will, but they could.
they've both claimed their playoff spot, so they're guaranteed a playoff spot. So that's one thing. So.
Yes. But there's a big difference between going on the road to a freezing cold
And
Lambau or playing in your
are
nice,
the are
nice
the
locked home.
are the Eagles 12 and 2 as well? They're 11 and 3.
The Eagles are the same as them as well, so they're
So
12 and 2
three
as
teams at
well. There's
12 and
three
2.
All
12,
three of them are
12 and
12
2.
and 2. So everything to play for, and they've got to keep playing, which pleases you, I'm sure, and upsets me no end. But
Well,
you've got a wee wide receiver problem, though, if you're not.
oh yeah. Well, I'm not playing Aquina this week. Dubs is going to be in the wide
No,
receiver, and I picked up Aguilar again. He'll get the passing touches on off Ridder, or whoever the bloody quarterback is. So, but yeah, I played Wilson for that 1 week. He got me through the last round, but I don't think he's much use this week.
well, it's one of those ones, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, they've got to win. They're still in playoff contention. So if Murray has one of these games,
That's why I'm
Wilson's.
happy I've got Stafford because he'll still be playing because are they joint top now?
Yeah, they're right there.
So
It's going to come down to them against Seattle and whatever week it is that they play. I think it might even be the last
but
week.
next week,
But that's what it's going to end up coming down to. Probably for the division, it's going to be that game. But yeah, I mean, Stafford should have a better game as well. But it was a great win for you, Johnny. It's as you say. I mean, look at these two squads, and no one would look at these two squads and say you were favourite. Absolutely no chance. It was
no.
Sean was the heavy favourite, and you tapped him
Especially,
in,
especially
and
when
then
you
he
look
gets
at the
Sunday's an operation.
especially when you look at the benches. Although I
Yeah,
tried to be smart by picking Cade York, thinking he'll get plenty of points for the Bengals, and I left McLaughlin on the bench and he scored 16.
yeah,
So I really got me over
he
100 if I
did.
played him.
I mean, Sean had Tillman and Njoku out, and Njoku being out was the sore one for him. That was a big miss. He's got Pittman down there on his bench as well, and he left him on the bench, and rightly so. Justice Hill on his bench, it wouldn't have won him the tie in the end, but it would have been a bit of irony there if that was what cost him the game, and it was when he's got Hill as a handcuff and Henry in the team. So
Yeah.
that would have been a bit harsh. But yes, Sean's out. You're through. Happy
No
days.
back-to-back winners. So that's now year 11 and no back-to-back winners.
No back-to-backs.
A couple of close, but not back-to-backs. So we'll go. This is a bit of a shock. Hide and Zeke on the score is 63.64 with our superstar early picks team to Boys Are Back in Town, 77.84.
You know,
So,
it's
and
just
that's with
I
Boys Are
think
Back in
it's
Town having 2 points and Warren with 1.
yeah, well, it's hide and Zeke with Cup, you know. But
Yeah, well,
do you know what? Remember when we looked last week? He wasn't playing Cup. He had Cup on the bench, and I said that's a pair of cojones. If he leaves Cup on the bench, that's a big pair of bollocks that he's got, and I hope it works out for him. And and he, he didn't see it. He didn't see it on Thursday night. But just as he was going to his bed, he said just as he was going to his bed, he changed his mind at the last minute and he went in and he put him in for Flowers. You know, now it wouldn't have made a difference, but it would be quite funny if it did. But it wouldn't have made any difference. I mean, it's just been that season for Graham. It's just been that season. It's a curse of those early picks as well. I'm not being funny, but they help. They don't help, but they obviously help. You're getting better players, but it just means you've got choices to make. And when the better players flop, and how many of them have flopped? Let's look through his team. Harris, okay, he's been okay. Daniels, he wasn't playing at the start. He was playing Mahomes, who was doing crap. Williams has done him fine. Cup has been pretty cold all year long. He's had a couple
well,
of
he's been injured
decent
for
weeks,
half of it,
but
yeah.
he's been cold. Reed has been an absolute disaster. Komet's been a disaster. Harrison's been a disaster. You know, it's
Even the kicker's been a disaster
Mostart's been
compared
a
to last year.
disaster. Flowers hasn't been brilliant, and it's just been that year for Graham. It wasn't even injuries that screwed him, you know. It was just the guys that he
Wrong player
picked
at the right
didn't
time.
show up. And yeah, I mean Ross started the wee run at the back end of the season, didn't he? He was 1-11, but certainly he's got that. He's got those wins now, and it got him a bit of form going into the playoffs. And there you go, he stole another win. So
Tajay Spears,
number one
22,
seed still
21
on.
points. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tajay looks like he's back. You know, it's and Orkney Bowl Doug dropped him when he was
Did he?
when he was hurt. And I thought, what an absolute clown! How have you put him in the agency? And I went and picked him up straight away. I couldn't have picked him up quicker enough. And I was getting so ready to put him in, and then message, you know, saying, "Oh, I'd hate to be the guy who dropped Tajay Spears this week," you know, but. He never played. He was crap for weeks, and I ended up dropping him, so I never got to say anything. And of course, there he goes. He's turned up again. So I mean, with Paul hurt, he's going to get some more touches. You know, he's going to get more touches. But I mean, Rossi's season kind of ended when Olave went down, and it's been hard. It's been a hard year for him. But yeah, little bit of something to smile about now, and let's see if he can go and grab that number one seed.
Yeah. And the highest score of the week, the Eskimo Brothers, 147.88 against the Varsity Blues, 53.50, so nearly 3 times the score.
Yeah, that'll happen when you've got Josh Allen in your team, you've got Mike Evans in your team, and you've got the Broncos D in your team. 20, 27, 45, you know, so
even Jerry
massive
Duty, 10
scores for
points.
Sean.
Great
And
London, 11 points. Yeah.
It's very typical of Sean as well, isn't it? The old late run,
Late
and then
surge, yes.
this would be back to back number one seeds if it can go on and win it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, put it this way, the 3 scores combined beat my score.
Yeah, there you go. So it's you know, it just shows up too late. He comes to the
nearly got
party
in.
too late.
You left
A
his
trait
stars
that
too
Sean's
late this
very
year.
good at. But
I know.
he done it last year as well. He made the charge late, and he only just went out and he went on to get the number one seed. So he's very much favourite to do so here. And yeah, I mean, Grote pretty much got what his season deserved. To be fair, he was in, he was out, he was shaking it all about. You know, it's he traded in, then he traded out, then he traded in, then he traded out again. So he's kind of got what he deserved. But you know what? He's got some early picks for next year, so I'm sure Grote will be saying roll on 2025, and let's see if I can win this week and salvage something from this season. Because I mean, let's not forget, you're still playing for the
The draft spots.
draft spots, and 1-2 places can make a big difference to how you draft.
Definitely.
So
Plus, he'd be one of the teams that he's got the point to lose as well.
well, of course, that's very much so the teams who he's got the picks from. So
do better depending on what round they've got the picks, because it's a snake. Apart from the first
I think you might have got some from Sean, so he'll be delighted that you beat him.
And we've got the Batman's boobies, who's actually on holiday, so he probably didn't pick his team. 40.68 against the Blue Team Patriots, 78.28. So Batman's boobies. He did have Puka, but obviously he had Purdy Thursday night, Kittle Thursday night, the defense on Thursday night. So it wasn't the best start.
Yeah, he was pretty much scunnered from there on, and Chris started pretty well, and then he just disappeared the middle of the season, didn't really come back, came back in the last week of the season to get a bit of form, and there you go, he's carried it in here, and he's got himself a wee win there, and number one seed still on, and that's with Jefferson only doing 13, and Richardson, his quarterback, only doing 11. So these guys can score higher than that easily. He's got T. Higgins sitting there. He's got Laporta sitting there. Vikings D who do very well. So, it's all to play for Chris, and the number one seed. It's a big check. It's a big carrot. And let's not forget that there is a little cash prize for winning the consolations as well. You get a touch of cash. So it's very much
plus it's
still
also
of
good
interest,
just
you would think, for everyone in it.
But being a 16-team league, getting the early picks when it's a keeper and you've got players kept is when you can get some of the superstars, best players that they can't keep to try and pick up.
That's it, exactly. And there are, because these the folk that trade year in, year out to trade up, like, Doug and Sean in the main, it's absolutely works for them. I'm not knocking them for doing it. Absolutely, that's what they should do. But they're constantly giving them away, so. And of course, Chris is going to have some picks from them as well. In fact, was it not? Who was it that Doug got Hutz off of?
I'm not sure. We can have a look at the
Yeah,
NES because we'll be able to find it somewhere. But I know Sean. I've got Sean's fourth round pick, I think.
But I mean, Hurts is going to be there for sure. Hurts is going to be there because there's no way Doug can keep Hurts, and that's it. These early picks, the super teams, they trade into them, but they trade into like 2 or 3 superstars, and you can only keep 2, and they've already got 2 there already that they kept the year before. So there's 3 or 4 players in Doug's team that I'm sure he would be delighted to keep. There's 3 or 4 in Sean's team that I'm sure he would be delighted to keep. They can only keep 2. These guys are showing up in the draft, and that's when you want that number one pick, because you can get. Well, look at Graham. Graham picked up Barkley got Barkley out
you had
the
to drop
draft
one
last
of them,
year because I had to drop one.
And Doug likes to keep on reminding you how you made a mistake on that one. But I think I've got Sean's fourth round pick because he got Metcalf off me. I can't remember who I got, but so that's one good thing.
Good. So you're in the semi-final.
I was glad that Metcalf. I was glad Metcalf didn't knock me out.
It's
that one, but
he probably won it for you, Johnny, because he was useless, and he has been for a bit now. But yeah, that's a great. That's great that you've got the fourth round pick as well. I didn't realise that. And here's the tight one.
Yeah, so very tight. 108.86 for the Tartan Bears against the Copenhagen Jets. 107.56. Aaron Rodgers, 35 bloody points.
Yeah, but Devontae Adams was facing him.
Oh yeah, so it was.
There was, I thought that Mark had this kind of in the bag at some point. So
you lost Montgomery, didn't you?
I think probably when Montgomery went down, I thought, oh, Jings, that's that. Oh yeah, because of course, Joe had Gino, who only scored 1 point.
You had Bijan on Monday night running for 135 yards or getting 135 total yards, which probably swung ended the game because I think he would have been behind before that. Was that the only one on that night? Who was it?
No, Geno Smith was playing for Joe. Joe's quarterback was. Oh no, they weren't. No, that was the late Sunday game.
I think it might have only been that one, was it? It was a lad
Yeah,
at
it was.
Livingston,
It was. He
Las
was the only
Vegas,
player
and
playing. So,
not
I mean,
Livingston.
Mark must have went
He
into
wasn't
Monday
enough to
night
nearly
pretty
cut off.
confident.
But Amenas and Brown getting 23 points in the 40-odd point game helped as well.
Of course, always will. It's but yeah, no. Sure, Mark would have went in thinking, I need 14 I need 14 and a half, 15 points from Bijan, and I've got it. Surely Bijan's going to get 15 points against the Las Vegas bloody Raiders, and he didn't. He get 13 and a half. So Joe gets the win. Joe goes on and 200 over 100 points. And this is what I keep saying as well, Johnny. The 107 points that Mark scored, regular season, you'd be thinking, okay, I've lost on to next week, but I've scored, my players are playing, I've scored over 100 points, happy days. Not this week. This week, you've
Yeah,
scored 107 points, but you've lost, so you're out.
I know. So that was them all. So up next, we've got the scheme team against the Baxter Trucks. So 8 seed against 5 seed. Show me the Packers against the Madhouse G-Men, 6 against 7 seed. And obviously down to there, you've got Parks are playing the Kirkwood Raiders. Leveling and a player are playing the Factory of Sadness for the
Yeah. I
lower
mean, you're still
spots.
playing for playoff places, I guess, down there, but draft picks. But yeah, their seasons are over now. They're bidding it, and I don't blame them for it. And I know
And
that
obviously,
ideally you want that. You want to be drafting as early as possible. Of course you do. But at the
yeah, you
same
want the
time, when you
9th pick
lose in
instead of the
quarterfinals,
12th pick. But
I've done
then
it often enough. That's it.
so the boys are back in town. They're up against the Eskimo Brothers, so that's going to be a hard one for Ross the way the Eskimo Brothers are scoring. Then the
It
Blue Toon
is.
Patriots against the Tartan Bears. That'll be a nice, tasty one.
Yes,
So,
yeah, that should be a tight one. It's both have got some decent players there that are scoring well, and both have got some awful players that aren't. So it'll be who can get the best out of their.
oh,
Well, there you
the
go.
scores have appeared
Everything's
back up
back.
again. So it's
Everything's back.
projected 78 to 72. That's he's not taking out Montgomery.
Yeah,
So
obviously Joe's still got to do Montgomery, but what's he got in the bench there for running
he
back?
need
He's
well,
got
he's
Ty
got
Johnson.
Johnson. So I'll
Yeah, and
probably
I
put
mean Ty
Johnson out if he's
Johnson's
getting the
done well
catches.
the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's
He's
been getting the passing game, so he's actually scored quite a lot of points in the yards that way, but it's going to
yeah,
be a
but
close one.
Chris will need Jefferson to be showing up in Seattle, and we've just shown what you can do against Seattle, so he'll be hoping that Jefferson can get some big points, and obviously Richardson, he'll be hoping that Richardson, or do you play Wilson? I don't know, but
Well,
it's one of
I don't
those
know because
ones
you know
where,
how bad that Baltimore defense is when it comes to the pass. He's not got Pickens, that's the thing. So he's got
no,
Fryermuth, Austin.
it
Who else
makes a
has he
big
got?
difference not having Pickens
Yeah.
as well, because Pickens is one of his favourite targets. No, you play Richardson, don't you? Because he's got legs, and I think he's got a much better game as well.
Oh yeah, Tennessee seem to be
Yeah,
tossing
they're
it away a
playing
bit too.
Tennessee at home, so yeah, you definitely go with Richardson there, but he's going to, that this game's going to come down to can Chris get points out of Bigsby and Algier? Can Joe get points out of whoever he brings at Ty
Smith or
Johnson? Can he
Johnson.
get points out of Jono Smith? Can he get points out of Douglas? Higgins will score his points. Jefferson will score his points. Adams and St. Brown will score their points. And Adams has got bonuses to make, and he's on his own legacy as well. He's already said it. I've got my personal targets as well. So he's going to be getting a lot of the ball from Rodgers again this week. I have absolutely no doubt in that. So and can he get something out of Stroud? Because Stroud's been such a disappointment for him. Not the best up against the number one Kansas City defense, but
Yeah.
he's going to need something out of Stroud.
I think that's the thing. But even with Swift, Swift had maybe 3 good games the whole season.
I
Up
think he's
against
had more
Detroit.
than that.
Detroit.
Swift's been okay this year. Very disappointingly for me because I poo-pooed him all off season, and he's done better than I certainly
I
thought
did.
he would. But yeah, he's slipped away toward. He started very well, Johnny. He's ended very badly. So yeah, and I think they're playing the Vikings, aren't they? So, oh no, they're playing the lot. In fact, he might get a big game out of Swift because the Lions' defense is decimated. So he might get a good game, a big game out of.
Well, I think they're a bit better against the run than they are in the pass, so but we'll see. We've got a lot of like Eskimo brothers due to give the boys back of town a bit of a scalping.
Well, I mean, Josh Allen could win this for him on his own.
Yeah,
you know,
he's got four down,
he
which
really
is a good.
could.
He's good. He got. I'm so glad I dropped Ford earlier on in the season.
Well, I mean, you can't foresee, but to be honest with you, I mean, they're up against Cincinnati. It should be a shootout, you know. Cincinnati are going to score a lot of points on offense. Therefore, Cleveland are going to have to throw the ball. So, I mean, yes,
But
you
then
want
they've
to go,
got.
but if you've got Ford, you're playing him. He's number one.
Is it DTR? DRT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dorian Thompson Robinson or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's.
What the hell? You got to play Winston. I mean, he's got McConkey on the bench. Yeah, on the bench.
I'm sure he'll put McConkey in if it's.
Although you've got Evans, Judy,
he's
in
got
London.
Evans, Judy in London, but
Or maybe over Judy.
so I mean, you can see how strong Sean's team is there, and really, it should cakewalk this. And now with the 4 teams that are left in, Sean is the team that's not got any real holes. He's got 2 number one, 2 lead running backs. He's got the best quarterback in the game at them, probably fantasy. I don't know if Allen's number one, but I'm
He's
pretty
got
sure
3
if he's
number
not,
1
he'll be
wide
in the top
receivers.
3 for sure.
Number
He's
1
got
tight
Evans,
end.
Judy in London at receivers and Fryermuth with no Pickens. That means that, he's a touchdown waiting to happen. So,
especially against Baltimore, yeah. It's
yeah, I mean, I'm glad Sean never scraped through and into the playoffs, because if Sean had a scraped through and in, I wouldn't want to be sitting playing him this week. So,
no, you'd
yeah,
rather play me.
it looks like it's going to be a long, hard week for Ross. But, when you start like 1-11, to be in the semi-finals of the consolation is something, at least. It salvaged some pride for them this season, if nothing else.
Definitely. I like how you start the 1-11 and not 0-10. Cheeky shout. Or 1-11.
Let's have a look at the semi-finals then, Johnny. Let's see what's happening in the big ones, the semi-finals. So here we go. Scheme team against and backs that we trust. And it's
got neighbours
I mean, I think Alan's team pretty much picks itself, doesn't it? I don't think there's any what's he got in the bench that's an option. I mean, Debo, can you play Debo?
No,
You can play
nobody's playing
Antonio
Debo now.
Gibson, I guess. But I mean, the
You might
team
play
really does
Patrick if
pick
it's a
itself.
shootout.
You could, but you'd be taking a big risk, and you're not playing him over Sutton, Smith and Jigba, or even Bateman. So I mean,
Well, if
Bateman's got
Bateman's
a
out,
question
you might
mark.
have to. But yeah,
If Bateman's out, that's probably the best thing that could happen to him, because Bateman's the one that could really lose him this. He could very easily duck. He could bust out and get a 0. So very, very easily. He could be the one that loses him. So if he is out, it might be a good thing. He might also score 20 points like he did last week. So you got to play him. But I mean, when you looked at it,
but he's
Doug's
playing
just got
Pittsburgh
so many
defense. He's not
decisions
playing
to
the
make.
Giants defense, so it's a bit different.
Well, yes, very true, and he's playing a very good Pittsburgh defense. But I mean, Doug's got so many decisions to make here. Collins, he's got Collins and Neighbours in at the moment. But can you? I mean, AJ Brown, and it's a stack as well. It's a Hurts Brown stack that he's poo-hooing his nose at, and that Washington D can be scored on. But
I think was it not? But it was a bit of a shootout the last time they played, was it not? Because Washington scored on
I
that
think
crazy
so, yeah.
long touchdown. So.
And I mean, just because Jennings had a bad game last week, they all had a bad game last week. But yeah,
It was the weather last week. Yeah,
he's
Purdy's
still
going to do better.
He's the number one receiver. So yeah, it's very tough decisions to make there. And do you know what? See if Ertz is playing, he's got to decide between Ertz and Kelsey, and that's not a decision I'd be wanting to make. Because can you drop Travis Kelsey, especially when you traded for him? Can you drop him?
No, you
He's
can't
not
drop
doing
him.
anything.
I know,
But
the
the
one
running
time you do
backs have
drop him,
to
he's
play.
going to not. He's going to have like 3 touchdowns and 100 yards or something. The one time you do drop him.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And then we all laugh at him for playing Ertz over Kelsey. And, it's a decision that's got to be made. But, it's strength on strength on strength. And it's playing against Rashad Bateman and Cam Akers, so there is only one favourite.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Well,
But stranger
Alan's
things have happened. Alan's going for his
completely.
final year. Is he going to win the trophy in the final year? So if he's
He's
going to
going to
do it, he's
need
going to have to
Lamar
win this one.
he's going to need Lamar to be Lamar, and against Pitt, it's not so easy against Pittsburgh, but he's also going to need Trey McBride to finally get in that end zone. Johnny, my bet last
How's
week,
he not got in the end zone?
my,
It's
my
just
late,
unreal.
my late, my late, late games touchdown treble was Jameson Williams, who got a touchdown with like the last touch of the ball, just about. Pat Fryermuth, they were all bigger than 21. All of them were bigger than 21. I had Jameson Williams, Pat Fryermuth, and fricking Trey McBride. And they gave him the wee Mahomes
Yeah, and he gets
Kelsey
stopped
shuffle
right on the
pass,
goal line.
and he
Yeah.
gets stuffed. I was like,
I know.
no. So, I mean, he's got to get that
He's had
touchdown
such a
sooner
great
rather than
year. It's
later.
just I'm crazy he's not got a touchdown because he's had such a brilliant
Yeah, I mean,
year. But
he's had many, many yards. He's proven himself to be an elite tight end. He's just not cutting the end zone. And you've got to put that on Murray as much
yeah,
as
he's not
anything
been
else.
getting the
But
targets in the end zone most of the time. It's probably going to bloody Harrison.
yeah, well, he
So,
has. And
and that's no work.
Smith and Jigba's fair come on to a game, though. But
Yeah.
for me, anyway, Jackson, Connor, Sutton, JSN, McBride, they all have to score really well for Allen this week for him to have any chance, because the chances are that between Akers and Bateman, one of them's going to have a bad game. Whereas you can see all of Doug's players having good games. So I do believe that, Jackson's going to need to outscore Hurts. Connor's going to
Well,
have
well,
to heavily outscore Dowdle, because Brown's going to heavily outscore Akers. Collins is going
yeah,
to have to heavily outscore Sutton, because Neighbours and JSN will probably be about the same. And you've got to think that McBride will outscore Kelsey the way the form's going. And then Jacobs is going to well outscore Bateman. So Allen's going to need a lot to happen to get the win. But again, it's any given Sunday. It's in operation. And worse teams than that have beat better teams than that in playoffs.
oh, did in the last round. And then our one,
Here we
you
go,
projected
Johnny,
to
the
win
big
by
one.
projected to win by 10 points. So there you go.
The big
Because
one. So,
I've set my team. My team's not changing now, so that is my team.
so you say.
So no, that is
So
my
you
team.
say.
I'm not changing it.
So it's how you thinking? How are you feeling on your team? Are you comfortable with it? You happy with it? Where's your holes? What are you excited about?
Well, my hole's in the flex, but I've not really got much of an
Uh,
option otherwise because I don't fancy Keena, who's also questionable. So I wanted a team that I didn't have to worry about come Sunday because obviously I know I'm working. So obviously I think Stafford's going to have a good game against the Jets. Goes by my bold prediction, so that'll help me. Gibbs should have a
they
good
need to
game.
win this for sure.
Pacheco, you never know what's going to happen with that because Houston are quite tough. You don't know what Mahomes is like. Shakir's getting his catches. McKincaid's back, another game back. He'll get more catches. The Bengals against DRT should hopefully be good.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know? I
And I've got
looked
my
at them. I, I looked at them sitting in the agency as well, and considered going and picking them up because they were playing Cleveland and
well, I picked him up because of last
hummed
week,
and
and I
hawed
was going
over
to
it.
drop them. I thought, no, they're playing Cleveland. Well, maybe
Oh,
two
did
weeks
you have
ago.
them last week? Was it last week I
Yeah,
was looking at them? I
they got me 19 points last week.
So they did. So they did, of course. Yeah, I did look at them when they were there, and then I was going to hummed and hawed over. In fact, that's right. It was last week, so I hummed and hawed over it, and I left it, and then you went and picked them up, and I ended up having to go and get the Chiefs instead. Because, but I did go and pick up the Chiefs, and they did score me 19 points last week.
Yeah.
However, I'm not convinced that I'm going to hold them in there this week because. I just, I feel like Houston need to come out and do something this week. They need to come out and prove themselves a little bit. I think they'll play a better game this week. So I'm not overly confident on the Chiefs D this week. There's plenty of options there, but I'm waiting to see what weather forecast on Sunday, and I might end up dumping Butker as well if the weather's. I mean, the Kansas, the weather can be anything. And obviously, I've got Guerrero sitting in there, but he's going to have to go because he's not playing, is he? So I guess I'm going to have
Yeah,
to
I've
go and
heard.
plug
I saw
Stevenson.
somebody's out. So yeah, but you've got Stevenson on the bench, so it's not as if you're short.
Yes,
Or Gus
yes,
Gus is the snail on the bench as well, not the bust. Gus the snail.
yeah. The bus got a flat tire, but it's
And no
yeah. So
engine.
I mean, I guess I can plug him in, and he's going to get touches tonight. But he's the thing about the Gus bus is he ain't going in. If it was the weekend, there would be a bigger chance of me putting him in than there is me putting him in tonight. There's no chance I put him in tonight. So
No.
yeah, I'll probably change I'm definitely going to change my defense. I might change my kicker, and my flex might change before kickoff. I can't
Well,
imagine
it's
me
going to have
changing
to change
anything
because
else. So
I think he is out, so you will have to change that anyway. So,
yeah, so it's Stevenson that will get plugged in, which will make the
but like I say,
forecasted score.
barring any injuries, that is the team I am fielding at the weekend. So you know what you're
So
up
it's
against.
I think it's going to be a close one, Johnny. May the best man win, as long as it's me.
I know. Well, Ken, obviously, I'll be looking for a new co-host next week if I somehow manage to beat you.
Well, listen, you've got 2 titles as well. I've not got any, so it's
Oh
beat it.
yeah.
Do you know? I'm not sure. And do you know what? See, to be
You need
honest,
these two. There they are.
I'm I'm actually on the fence. I'm actually on the fence as to whether I want to win this game or not. Because do you know what?
Oh,
The
you don't want
last
to lose
thing
to Doug.
it's not even that. It's not even it's not even not wanting to lose to Doug in the final. I don't. Christmas last year was shit for me. You know that Glasgow
Yeah.
went down the week before, and it was just the worst Christmas I've ever had. I did everything about it. It was all work in my head. It was the worst Christmas ever, and I'm off this year for that's me done. I'm done till the 30th. And I'm so looking forward to Christmas week. And I do not need the stress of a show me the money final against Douglas Baxter and Christmas week. I just do not need that stress.
Well, then, of course, as I said in the chat, how ironic would it be that 11 years later, in Alan's last game in the show with the money, you get a repeat matchup in
The
Bowl
first
1
final.
with the
Yeah,
same result, hopefully.
that I mean, don't get me wrong, if
That's quite
Alan beats
freaky.
I absolutely do not want that to happen because if Alan does beat Doug, I want to be playing him in the final. I'm happy for that stress. I just don't need the stress of Doug in the final. I
Well,
really
look at
don't.
the bright side. You got the opponent you wanted in this round because you didn't want any of the other two. So you got what you wanted so
Oh,
far.
listen, 100%. I've got the opponent. There's no getting away from it. You know, look at Sean's squad. Look at your squad. I get beat by Sean 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you're damn tooting. I've got the team that I want to play this week. You know, on paper, my squad is better. There's no ifs, no buts, no maybes. So yes,
Yeah.
this is the game that I wanted. But you know what they say, Johnny, you got to be careful what you wish for.
Well, that precisely. You did whisper it. It was all over last
I
week's
did.
show. So
I did, but be careful what you wish for. So I've now got it. So let's see what happens. But may the best man win.
yeah, as long as it's not Doug.
Well, that's may the best man win in this
I've got to
one.
say,
May
but
Alan win in the other.
may Alan win, but I think Doug. Yeah, I would just love. I know it's we always slag off Doug and say, but I would love to see Alan get to the final in his last year because he
Yeah, I
hasn't
mean
been
it
in
would
the
be great
final
for
since the
Alan to
first
get.
one. So
It would be great for Alan to get to the final in his last year. But the irony would be if I do get. I don't think I've been in the Super. I don't even think I've been in the Super Bowl.
no,
But
I've been
if I
in
was
five.
to get to it, it would be an absolute just the irony of it being against Doug would be right up there. It really would. The you know
You
the biggest rivalry in the league. It has to be. There is no bigger rivalry than show me the Packers and then Baxter we trust. There just isn't. We're in the same division and everything. There is just no bigger rivalry. And to have that be my first Super Bowl, if I was to lose it, I mean Yemen's calling.
Well, we should have a long time until we have to get all back in again. So, but yeah, no, it'll be fun this week and enjoy the game.
Listen, I'm excited. I'm excited for this week. I really am. I'm really looking forward to following the game through the weekend. And being in the semi final is for me is huge because I just never I don't get here often. It's for whatever reasons. Mainly,
Like
I'm crap at fantasy
I
football.
do
But
apologise in advance. I apologise in advance for 2 50-yard passing touchdowns to Abdullah. 3 touchdowns for Dubs on Tuesday night and about 25 points from a kicker. I apologise in advance.
Johnny, here's the thing. See if I have to sit on Monday night watching if I have to sit on Monday night on my birthday watching my team who I adore and listen only team I
Oh,
support and support
technically,
now.
it's no longer your birthday because it's Tuesday morning it kicks off, so it's not your birthday anymore.
Well, I've not went to sleep yet, so it's still my birthday. But if I have to sit there and actively pray that Dubs does nothing, it's just going to be the worst thing ever. So I hope one way or the other the tie's over by then. I really do.
I know, because I'll be watching it too, and it'd be like,
Yeah, I hope the tie's over by then, and I can sit and enjoy watching the Packers beat the Saints over having to worry about don't trade him, Jordan, don't trade him, don't trade him.
I know, 'cause it was 2 nice touchdowns as well last week too, so yeah. Anyway, all the best this week, Craig, and we'll speak to
Yes,
you in
all the
about
best,
5
Johnny.
minutes when we go in the next show. And thank you for those
Indeed.
that's tuned in and listened to us.
Good luck everyone else that's playing this weekend as well. It's got
Yeah.
consolations and the main four. Good luck to three of them, and good luck to the four in the consolations. And we'll see you next week to review the results.
Yep.